really unsettling to have to hear someone say they've never seen Lost.
I've never seen Lost, man. I'm sorry. I've just never seen it. I've heard it's a great show. I used to listen to Deminsky and Doyle and have, like, you know, his little weekly Lost breakdown of what everything means.
Yeah.
I know what the Dharma Project is.
You do?
No, I know that the Dharma Project is a thing in Lost. Anything above and beyond that, I have no idea what it is.
It's the Dharma Initiative.
Is it the Initiative or is it the Dharma Project?
I thought it was the Dharma Initiative. I mean, it's been a couple of years since I've seen an episode, but
well, I've never seen an episode. I consider myself
an expert in these matters.
So what was it about Lost that you liked? Because, I mean, I know a lot of people liked it, and it was just one of those shows I never got into. Never watched. Never had the urge to go see it. Go out of my way.
It'd have to be the mythology of the show and the way that they were able to create a backstory for everyone that was sort of intertwined, either directly or indirectly, and to be able, what's a good way to say it? It was captivating water cooler talk for 6 years.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
It seemed like everyone was talking about it. And I did not start watching it until the second season. I saw the first season on DVD after the second season had already premiered.
Uh-huh.
So I wanted to catch up and watch it. And I blew through that first season, which was, I think, 22 or 23 episodes in like less than a week.
Oh, wow.
I was in, man. And it's one of those shows where it was just like, I am in 110%. I would miss social gatherings because Lost was going to be on that night. I would not go out. I'm like, I have to be at home at 9 o'clock. It's Wednesday night. I know it's going to be on. It was just an amazing show, and I really liked the characters and the way that the creators and the writers were able to intertwine those stories for each character and make it relevant in this world.
Let me take this as there weren't a lot of filler characters. Like, every character that was on screen and in the show had a purpose. You know what their mission statement was, and you knew what their backstory was.
For the most part, yeah. I think every character. I mean, yeah, and there was some filler character. I mean, what's a filler character? It takes like an episode up, maybe 2.
Yeah.
Maybe you see him once, you see him again like in 10 more episodes. That, to me, that's a filler character. For the most part, the ensemble cast, which I think was, some quote, 12 to 15 people,
mm-hmm.
They were all series regulars, right? So They were on like every week. So there wasn't a lot of filler characters, no.
In the way that
they were able to intertwine characters that you would think have absolutely no relation to crash on this island because of their plane crashed on an island. So they set up all these strangers there, and then through the 6 seasons, you find out that people had met them, other people in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, they develop relationships while on the island, and then you find out that do you really have this control over your own life? Do you have free will, or is everything destined to be something? Like, you don't have free will. Someone has chosen you to be here, and your actions aren't actions; they're reactions to other people. So yeah. So it's pretty sweet. The whole battle. There's the overarching theme of good versus evil.
Uh-huh.
It's really interesting.
But what is evil, though? Evil to one person may not be evil to somebody else.
No, that's true. I mean, I'm Lost. Evil was the Man in Black.
And who is the Man in Black?
I don't want to spoil it for you, Matt.
Well, I mean, spoilers are welcome. It's been a while since the show went off the air.
I understand. Well, I mean, I want you to watch this show. I want you to get into it the way I got into it. But you don't learn these things until like the last half of the last season.
Well, I mean, I believe
no.
The show.
So what happens is the island is special, right? And there's people that protect the island. There's Jacob and there's the Man in Black. And Jacob is the good guy, or like you just said, from his point of view, he's the good guy.
Uh-huh.
And there's the Man in Black, who is the bad guy, or from his point of view, he just wants to leave the island.
Okay.
And Jacob stopping him. He can't leave the island. So you don't find any of the stuff out until later on, and like almost towards the end of the series. So basically, all these characters that go through everything on the show, they do it basically in blind belief of someone they know as Jacob. Jacob's not a bad guy. He's actually a good guy, because if the Man in Black leaves the island, then he would kill everyone. So that's the reasoning for it. So I guess you can say the Man in Black's a bad guy. But it's one of those shows where, you know, people loved and hated the ending. You know, I was under the belief where I liked it as much as it was sad to see your favorite show go, as it always is. Most times the endings are never satisfying. You know, they never satisfy you, no matter what it is.
I've never watched a finale that I've actually enjoyed.
Yeah, I mean, it's always kind of disheartening. You know, but I've watched the series, you know, a couple times after that, and I like the way the show ended. I mean, I don't know how they would have ever lived up to the hype that it was at. So
I mean, even for someone that never watched the show, didn't think that the episode was going to live up to the hype.
It never can. It never can, no matter what the show. The Seinfeld finale was the same way.
Yeah.
You know, I think some people had some thoughts about Friends. You know, some people weren't happy with the way Cheers ended, or what's the one where everything was a dream? The guy's head, Newhart. You know, so it's these classic shows like this that people love them, and then the finale is just they're so polarizing. You either loved it or you hated it.
Yeah. Well,
you know, for me, Lost was one of those shows where I loved the ending because I loved the show. I knew not everything was going to get answered, and it's one of those damn shows where, you know, they answer a question and they give you two more questions.
Yeah, right.
So it was so frustrating, and they never did answer some of the stuff.
Well, I believe I was listening to a podcast with one of the creators on there. I think it might have been J.J. Abrams. Now that I'm thinking about it, he did create Lost, right?
Yeah, he directed the pilot episode. He did have some executive producer credits for the first season. I think even later on, I think he still did. But he really only had a hand with writing the pilot.
All right.
And kind of giving the direction of the first season. Anything after that, I'm not really sure. Everything else was done by, Damon Lindelof and Carlton Cuse. So I'm not really sure how much JJ had to do after the first season.
It was with that Damien guy. Now that you said his name.
Damon Lindelof.
Yes. He was on the Nerdist podcast, and he was talking like, you know, they would purposely put things like I don't know, like a code sequence or like a sequence of numbers that somebody found. Like they would purposely put things in like that in there, knowing that they were never going to pay it off, but it would create such a buzz about it.
Right.
So it was like subliminal hints or something like that.
But that's what people loved about the show, and there would be, you know, that's where I really started getting to like, Reddit and something shit like that where
you go on the
just
rabbit
Google
hole.
something on Reddit and you can just it's like it's a rabbit hole, man. You just get trapped down it, and it's like, but people would go on with these strange theories, and this is what they think this is, and what do the numbers mean? What's the question mark? And what's the Darwin Initiative? And what's up with the magnetism? I mean, there's so many different things people talked about with that show, and they just went all over the place. And I've heard that many times. Like the creators knew they were never going to pay some of these things off not because they didn't want to, but they weren't going to be able to do it in the time frame that they wanted to in the show. Well, right, and even after the show ended, I think on the DVD, on the Series 6 DVD, there was extras, like most shows have. That was it took place after the finale, where they Ben and Hurley go to find Walt and try to recruit him to come back to the island, and it was that sort of thing where people were like the whole show, like, what happened with Walt? Walt was a special kid, and so after season 2, they're like, he's gone. You see him like once or twice the rest of the series. So people are always like, what's up with Walt? So at the end, they made this little clip and with Ben, Hurley, and Walt, and they tried to recruit Walt to go back to the island. So they did do stuff like that where they were trying to answer some questions or throw the fans a bone. And, here's a little tidbit that, every show's got that.
Well,
And I'm sure, like my favorite show now is Game of Thrones, as you know, and
Yeah.
I'm sure once Game of Thrones ends, I'm going to be like, what about this? I want to know about this.
well,
What happens next?
Well, you certainly can't, with Game of Thrones, you certainly can't be like, I can't believe they killed off that character in the finale of the series. I mean, because they've already killed off all the characters. Now, that being said, I'm up to episode 5 of season 3 of Game of Thrones right now. As soon as I get done with all of them, we'll be able to freely talk about it. But
yes, we can. What's your Lost? To me, Lost was my favorite TV show. What's your Lost?
I have 2, really. One is Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and the second one is Dexter.
Oh, good old Dexter, yeah.
And the polarizing opinion of series finales is no more evident with Dexter, because that whole entire last season of Dexter was just, it felt so like, okay, we got to wrap this up. Okay, shit, we've only got 4 more episodes to go. Oh shit, we don't have a killer yet. All right, so this guy's gonna be the killer. Shit. Well, how are we gonna deal with the kid? Yeah, we'll just send him off. And then in the way that Dexter supposedly died at the end, and in the way that he's revealed where he doesn't really die, spoiler alert. He rides off into the hurricane. Like Dexter taking out a fucking hurricane when the CG was just absolutely horrible with that, but beside the point. It's like, all right, Dexter's going to go kill himself by driving his boat into a hurricane. That's a good death. Awesome. Cool. I would have accepted that. And then they cut to this montage, and then they show him living alone as a lumberjack somewhere. And that's how they end the show.
What? I never saw the last season.
Yeah, seriously. That's literally the last 5 minutes of the show.
He's living the life of Logan,
Yeah, but I mean, like, there's no...
Oh, that's funny.
There's no context behind it. It's just like, oh, we're just supposed to accept the fact that this guy just left his entire... he just left his entire life, started a completely new life, and no one is none the wiser as to where the hell Dexter Morgan came from. Or where he went.
Right. I love Dexter. I thought it was one of the most anti-hero shows where the guy's a serial killer, but you can't help but not root for the man, right? Like, you want him to succeed in everything he does, even though you know he's this monster.
And, and that was the thing that really drew me to the show, was the fact that
you're a sick bastard.
Well, yeah, that's true. The way I got into the show was actually pretty funny. I was introduced to it, and he's like, dude, you got to see this show. I just finished the first couple episodes last night on demand. You got to see it. I'm like, well, all right. Well, I have this really, really big history test I have to study for, because I was in college at the time. And she's like, okay, so your test is on Monday. Today's Sunday. We'll watch a few episodes. Then you can study. Like, all right, yeah, cool.
Let's see where this is going.
Famous last words.
Yep.
We went out to we went to Bray's. Got a whole sack of 20 Bray burgers.
On Plymouth?
Or Ford Road in this case. We went to
I got you. I know what you're talking
about. Went to A&W, got a gallon of draft root beer. And so I'm just sitting there, eating my lunch, getting ready to study. And that first episode hooked me. I mean, it was just like, he's like the most lovable serial killer. He's ferocious at the same time. He's antisocial. He is, sardonic and sarcastic, and then with the head flying out of the back of the truck of the ice truck killer. Oh my god, dude! I was hooked from that moment. We watched the entire season. I didn't fucking study a goddamn bit that entire day. It was absolutely fantastic.
I can totally agree with that. The first episode of that is just it's riveting. It just boom, you're like, oh my god, I want to watch this show.
And just in the imagery of the first show, him, you show the Miami nightlife. You just hear the Dexter voiceover saying, "Tonight's the night. Has to happen. Needs to happen." I mean, once you know the character of Dexter, those lines are just like, oh yeah, of course, tonight's the night. It has to happen. It needs to happen. Yeah. Dark Passenger's taking over. But the other things that I liked about the show was that they built up the villains. Like every season had a story arcing a villain attached to it. You know, the first one was the Ice Truck Killer. Second one was based around Dexter himself. The third season was with Jimmy Schmitz, and the fourth season, which was the best season, which was the Trinity Killer with John Lithgow.
Oh, John Lithgow was the best, yeah.
But what I liked about it was that not only did they make the villains of each season interesting and relatable, and you were kind of rooting for them in a way, but they also used like really odd picks for actors. I mean, like when I heard John Lithgow was going to be a villain in Dexter, I'm like, what?
That's awesome.
John Lithgow. I'm like the guy from fucking Harry and the Hendersons.
That's the only thing I remember him from, was Harry and the Hendersons.
And so
what was Jimmy Smits? Wasn't he like a city councilman or something?
He was
a mayor.
He was DA.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And then
he gets like obsessed with trying to kill people, or
well, yeah. Once he learned who Dexter was and what Dexter could do, he wanted to emulate that. He wanted to be Dexter.
Yeah.
But he wasn't living by the code. So he was killing people because of personal gain, as opposed to ridding the world of evil.
Yep. Okay, I remember now. Yep.
But I mean the Trinity Killer. I mean, like I can't say enough good things about that season. John Lithgow, at times, literally scared the shit out of me.
Yeah, he really, for no pun intended, he killed it in that role.
Yeah.
You know, and I gotta say that's the ending of that season.
Yep.
You know what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah.
But I just, wow. You don't see it coming.
You don't.
And you're like, that's like one of my favorite characters. I mean, can't believe they killed her.
Well, okay. Full disclosure, I am not a Rita fan by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, she's no Donna from Twin Peaks.
Yeah, but see, I like, you know, Dexter's Family Man with Rita and the kids and all that, and
no,
I dug it. Like, so I did not see that death coming, and I thought it was more shocking than I was ever going to, you know.
Oh yeah,
it was more shocking. I don't know about Ned Stark moving his head, but
spoiler
as
alert.
I was watching it and not knowing what was going to happen, I was totally shocked, and I was like sad.
Yeah. Well,
you know, because she was very innocent and very sweet, and then he just killed her.
Yeah, well, I mean, it fit in with the story arc of the Trinity Killer, but it also fit into the overall story arc of Dexter, where Dexter was born in blood, and so now Harrison was as well, because Harrison was in the middle of the bathroom, in the blood, just like how Dexter was born, which freaked Dexter right the fuck out.
I remember.
And then the great thing from that is that not only did they bounce the next season directly after that, like, I mean, it was just like they started the season right after the events of season 4, but then they introduced the Doomsday Killers with Edward James Olmos and Colin Hanks, where they were actually, you know, showing like mutilated bodies and like they were just upping the gore factor, and I really appreciated that, because I think that when you end on something that shocking, I think you have to up the ante in the next season.
I remember Colin Hanks, but I don't remember the last. So I think after season 4, season 5 was Colin Hanks. Season 6 was the last one, I thought.
No, so there was.
No.
Season 6 was with Johnny Lee Miller, I think, where he was a motivational speaker, and he and a bunch of his friends.
Yeah.
And then after that was the last season with He Who Must Not Be Named, because I honestly don't remember his name.
You know, whatever.
Yeah.
No, see, I missed the last season. I think the last season was the year I moved to Toronto. 2012, I think. So that's why I missed that one.
Right on.
But I did see the Johnny Lee Miller season. I don't remember it.
Yeah,
that's not saying much.
I mean, the details
of
it
are
kind of sketchy, but I mean, like, I remember the overall arc of the whole thing, and then Deb letting Deborah and letting Dexter and Julia Stiles' character. That's Julia Stiles.
Yeah, Julia Stiles.
Man. But Dexter is definitely my lost. It's my favorite show of all time. I mean, Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is up there, but it's newer, so it still has like the new show feel to it, as opposed to Dexter, which went off the air years ago.
I think right now, for me it's Game of Thrones, but I think when it's done, I may like Game of Thrones more than I like Lost.
Bold statement, my friend.
Well, I think Game of Thrones is the better show. First of all,
It's very well written.
Lost captivated me in a way that I wasn't prepared for. I really wasn't part of like the whole underground conspiracy theories, crazy shit going on. Water cooler talk. Everything's a buzz. That show took me off guard. Like this show is just kicks ass.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll probably never have another show that's going to captivate me the way Lost did, but I think Game of Thrones is the better all produced, better quality show.
Yeah. Well, I can't say enough good things about what I've seen from Game of Thrones so far. So.
Well, I'm glad you like it.
Yeah, no, I'm enjoying it, man. But one thing I do want to say about a couple things about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is that when the first season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. came out, a lot of comic book fans and comic book movie fans jumped on the bandwagon of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. for like the first couple episodes. And then everyone kind of like shunned it because they're like, well, we're not seeing Iron Man, we're not seeing Thor, we're not seeing, A-list Avengers in this show. Yeah. And I sat there thinking to myself, like, did you expect to see these A-list superstars or movie stars in this show? Like, I mean, me going into it with a show called Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., it's not the Avengers, it's not Iron Man, it's not, Nick Fury and his fabulous group of people. It's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. But anyway, if you want to revisit it, if you really hate the first season, don't watch the first season. Go through start the second season, watch the third season, because the fourth season of the Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is worth all of the time that you have invested into that show. It's.
I heard Tahiti's a lovely place.
It's a magical place.
Oh, what is that? What is magical place?
Yes. And season 4, for those of you that are wondering, is the season with Ghost Rider as the first arc, then going into the Life Model Decoy arc, and then into the Framework / Hydra arc. So
very confusing.
So with the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., what they normally do is they have, a 22-episode season, and, 10 of those episodes, or, 8 of those episodes are dedicated to, this arc. And then after the episode 8 and 9 kind of tie together a new arc with an old arc. Then they do about 7 or 8 more episodes of the second arc for the season, and then they follow it up with the last arc. Yeah. So normally they have about 3 different things going on in a season. It's a very intricate show. It's very good. I'm really happy they renewed it for at least 12 more episodes for next season. Okay, so you say Lost is your favorite show of all time at the moment, right? What was your favorite show when you were younger? In the 90s.
No, I understand. I guess they'd be Married at Children.
Oh my gosh, yes. A show that would never work in modern day.
No, absolutely not. I mean, I don't know. I don't remember really watching a lot of TV. I mean, a lot of times when we watched TV, it was what Mom and Dad were watching.
Yeah.
Until we got to a certain age, of course. But I guess in the 90s, I guess it'd be
Unsolved Mysteries.
Yeah, I was going to say like Unsolved Mysteries or
Quantum Leap.
The original X-Files.
Oh yeah.
Maybe I go with that. Love that show.
Yeah, I remember every single Wednesday. Unsolved Mysteries.
With Robert Stack. Right.
With the theme music that sounds dangerously close to the Halloween theme.
It does, doesn't it?
Why doesn't anyone fucking notice that? Everyone sees it. No one says a fucking thing. Papa, can you hear me? Oh no, I was gonna say. When did you start watching Twin Peaks? Was it after it came out on VHS?
What's that?
Was it after it came out on VHS or something?
Yeah, Andrew got me watching it.
Speaking of Stranger Things, how'd you like season 2?
I love that show, man. I think it's freaky, it's fun.
Yeah, man. It was a very
it's got that total 80s vibe. I love the 80s shit. So it's love it.
It was
love it.
It reminded me a lot of watching like an old Stephen King miniseries.
Yeah, like a cheap one you'd see like on ABC on Saturday nights or something. It's
yeah,
like a 2-part miniseries.
Like when they did The Stand.
Oh, yeah. I was just reading about it the other day because I'm like, I saw some about Rob Lowe. Oh, Rob Lowe. And he was in The Stand. He was like the mute boy. And I was like, oh my god, he was. And I'm like, who else was in The Stand? Fucking Gary Sinise.
Yeah, dude.
Laura San Giacomo guy. I can't. There was like
Who was
three
the-
or four
who-
other.
Who was the guy that played like the David Koresh character?
Oh, yeah, that played. I can't think of his name. The guy who plays the devil, right?
Yeah.
Or whatever. That's
Yeah.
That's not the name of the movie, but in the books.
Randall Flagg?
Oh, that's his name, Randall Flagg. Yeah, that's it.
Jamie
Damn it, he's like-
Sheridan. Oh, he's been playing Robert Queen on Arrow.
Well, that's great. I don't watch that show either.
I don't watch it. Yeah, I've heard that show is really, really good, but I'm not a big DC television guy.
I
But
mean,
it is on my list of things to watch.
I think you just can't bear to let a gorgeous girl like me out of your sight.
no,
Yeah.
Stranger Things. No, I loved it, man. I really love that show. I love the whole motif of it, the 80s vibe.
Yeah.
And yes, it does remind me of Stephen King, like cheesy 80s, early 90s Stephen King movies
Yeah,
you
it's
see
great.
like on, ABC or CBS, probably CBS. That's what you should watch, man. You watch some good TV. Dude, HBO has been putting out great shows for a long time.
Oh yeah, Westworld's on.
Westworld's great. You want to watch some older ones? You can watch Deadwood. It's only like 2 seasons,
Uh huh.
but maybe it's 3. But it was awesome. And they talk like that. It's like the Shakespearean Old West. They're all foul mouthed and they all talk like this, like they're in a Shakespeare play. It's really crazy. It's got Timothy Oliphant in it, man. He plays like the good guy sheriff, and then Ian McShane.
Yeah, I
he
love
plays
Ian
the bad
McShane.
guy, tavern guy. Huh?
I love Ian McShane.
Yeah, that's all. That's all. Right here,
No shit.
Oh, it's Arnold.
I do like
I'll find those fucking cocksuckers.
They like to say cocksucker.
two of my favorite shows that also went off the air were Castle and Chuck. Did you ever watch those shows?
Ted was always watching Chuck. I never got into that. And I liked the ones I saw at Castle, but I never really watched it. So.
Castle was just it was Nathan Fillion at his best. And
Wait. Was it Nathan Fillion being his best Nathan Fillion?
yes, I mean he was full on Nathan Fillion. It's kind of like when
I like it when
fucking Doogie Howser. What the hell's his name?
Neil Patrick Harris.
Yeah, when Neil Patrick Harris is on, like, and he's full of Neil Patrick Harris, kind of like the same thing, but with Nathan Fillion.
Yeah, it's like when Christopher Walken's really being Christopher Walken.
Oh yeah, I had this watch in my ass and passed it on to you. Strand. Oh my gosh!
that's
Like
funny,
seriously,
so.
you need before you go to bed tonight, go on YouTube and look up Kevin Pollak, Christopher Walken. It's like
Oh, he does an impression of him, right?
yeah, he does, but he tells a story of Christopher Walken getting left at a party.
Oh, yeah.
Fucking hilarious.
Damn good coffee.
Oh.